I think that's where I'm headed. You know, I'm in the learning and understanding phase, you know, of this game and how things are. Yeah, you can lose your job at any point in time. So you don't play with fear. When you live and play in fear, then you'll never be yourself. You know. So I don't play or live in fear. Whatever situation I'm in. Whatever happens, it happens. You know. But I live each moment and try to live each day to the fullest. So never live in worry or fear.
The Cleveland Browns just got demolished 31-3 by the Chicago Bears. Let me say that again for the people in the back. 31-3. Not 31-29, not a close game, not some overtime heartbreaker. 31-3. That's a beatdown. That's an absolute humiliation on national television in conditions that felt like the Antarctic.
Yeah, the conditions not really a big factor because thankfully to our staff, we got everything to keep us warm, so everything was smooth.
It was 3 degrees at Soldier Field. 3 degrees, with wind chills in the negative teens. This wasn't football. This was an endurance test masquerading as a game. And Shedeur Sanders just got absolutely exposed in the most brutal way possible.
The Bears beat the holy hell out of the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders, no chance. Absolutely no chance in this game.
1 week ago, Sanders was a miracle worker. He threw 4 touchdowns against Tennessee. He had the best performance by a Browns rookie since the franchise's modern era began. He looked like he was figuring it out. He looked like he belonged. Then he flew into Chicago on Sunday and got reminded exactly where he is in his development.
I think in every situation, it's always gonna be things that you want to work on, things that you want to get better. You know, so I think that's where I'm headed. You know, I'm in the learning and understanding phase. You know, of this game and how things are.
Because this isn't just about the score. This is about what the score represents. The Bears' defense didn't just beat the Browns' offense. They embarrassed them. They dismantled them. They showed Shedeur Sanders that being a rookie in the NFL against a championship-caliber defense in freezing conditions is an entirely different beast.
It was ugly. It was absolutely ugly.
3 interceptions. 3 in a game that was essentially over by halftime. The Bears built a 28-3 lead and just coasted. They didn't even need to try hard in the second half. Meanwhile, Sanders is back there getting picked off, getting sacked, watching his offense get absolutely shut down. This is what happens when a young quarterback meets elite defensive scheming and brutal weather all at once.
They just had a great defensive scheme, and I enjoyed playing against them. I enjoyed playing in that because, you know, it was definitely a little challenge, so I look forward to learning from that and look forward to understanding exactly, you know, how things was on film and just be able to learn from it.
But here's what's wild. Sanders didn't disappear. He didn't quit. He sat down in that locker room after getting his face pushed in the dirt, and he took it on the chin. No excuses, no deflection, just raw accountability. When asked how he'd assess his own performance, his answer was as honest as it gets.
How would you just assess or sum up your own game? How did you feel about the way that you played today?
Oh, we got a loss, so I didn't do good. So that's what sums it up.
The Bears showed everything on film, and the Browns couldn't execute. The defensive scheme was relentless, the reads were confusing, the pressure was unreal, and Sanders felt every single second of it. When he broke down what went wrong on those crucial 3rd and long situations, he took complete ownership.
Everything they showed on film, we just failed to execute. That's it. That's on me. I got to be able to get us, you know, in the right situations and get a ball out my hand.
That's not deflection. That's not blame shifting. That's ownership at the highest level. In a game where his team got absolutely demolished, Sanders still took responsibility for every interception, every sack, every incompletion. Now look, this is a catastrophic loss, and we need to talk about what this means for Sanders moving forward. Because there's a difference between one bad game and a pattern of getting overwhelmed by elite competition. After Tennessee, everyone was ready to crown him. After this, everyone's asking if he's ready for this level. Third and long situations, forget about it. The Bears' defense had studied him, understood his tendencies, and exploited every single weakness. Sanders tried to operate in those high-pressure moments, and it backfired immediately. That's the NFL punishing careless decision-making in the coldest conditions imaginable.
But what I want to highlight is how Sanders is processing this. He's not panicking. He's not making excuses. He's talking about decompressing, watching film, understanding exactly what went wrong so he can fix it. He knows that this loss, as brutal as it is a teaching moment.
Biggest takeaway from the game, well, I gotta like decompress, you know, like and understand, you know, everything that just transpired for real. So I just showered, I just did everything I could to get ready to come in here, and then I'll be able to watch it and be able to understand. But it's a lot of different things you could think and everything. But the main thing is, you know, decompress, chill, and be able to learn from it, you know.
That's the voice of someone who understands this is a process. Even after getting decimated, Isaiah Bond was still out there making plays. Sanders is already thinking about how to build chemistry with his receivers, how to develop weapons, how to be better next week. The offensive line rotations hurt. The injuries hurt. The fact that Cleveland is out of playoff contention and the Bears desperately needed this win, all of that mattered. But Sanders didn't use any of it as an excuse. He understands what you can and cannot control in this league.
There's nothing you could control. You can't look at that. You can't focus on that. You know, that's an uncontrollable thing, you know, and I'm sure everybody that went in and out, I'm sure they didn't want to be hurt, you know, so that's a part of life.
That's professional maturity that you rarely see from a fourth-start rookie. He could be angry. He could be looking for someone to blame. Instead, he's being a pro about it. This game exposed legitimate weaknesses in Sanders' game: his ability to process information under pressure, his decision-making against elite defenses, his consistency week to week. Those are real issues that need addressing. But it also showed something about his character, his willingness to take responsibility, his refusal to make excuses, his commitment to improvement. You can't teach that. The coaching staff is sticking with him. The organization isn't panicking, but Sanders knows the brutal reality of this league better than anyone right now. He understands what it means to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL.
You know what league we in? You can lose your job at any point in time. So you don't play with fear. When you live and play in fear, then you know, like, you'll never be yourself, you know. So I don't play or live in fear. Whatever situation I'm in. Whatever happens, it happens, you know. But I live each moment and try to live each day to the fullest, so never live in worry or fear.
That's the kind of mental toughness you need to survive getting destroyed 31-3. That's the kind of perspective that separates the ones who make it from the ones who wash out. Sanders isn't playing with fear. He's not worrying about his job security. He's just trying to understand what went wrong and fix it. So what happens next? Sanders goes back to the film room, he studies what the Bears did, he works with his coordinators on recognizing those looks pre-snap, he gets reps in practice, he comes back next week ready to compete. Because that's the only way you survive in this league. And after today, after getting beaten down and still showing up with accountability, humility, and a commitment to improvement, it's becoming clear that Shedeur Sanders might just have what it takes to make it in the NFL. But let's be real for a second. This 31-3 loss is going to haunt him. It's going to be on film. It's going to be shown to every NFL scout, every defensive coordinator, every team that's evaluating whether Sanders can survive in this league. The Bears exposed real gaps. They showed that against elite pressure and Arctic conditions, Sanders can crumble. That's the narrative now. Yet, and this is important, what we also saw in that locker room was a kid who refused to break mentally, who refused to make excuses, who refused to blame his teammates. That's rare. That's the kind of mental fortitude that separates the ones who bounce back from catastrophic losses and the ones who spiral into self-doubt. The question moving forward isn't whether Sanders has the talent. Everyone already knows that answer. The question is whether he can learn from this 31-3 demolition and apply those lessons. Whether he can watch the film, understand what the Bears did and make adjustments. Whether he can come back next week and execute at a higher level. Whether he can prove that one brutal loss doesn't define his entire career trajectory. 4 starts into his NFL career, Shedeur Sanders has already experienced the full spectrum of professional football emotions. The high of throwing 4 touchdowns against Tennessee, the low of getting absolutely dismantled by Chicago. That's the journey. That's what every young quarterback has to walk through. But what separates the pretenders from the real competitors is how they respond. And based on everything we heard in that post-game interview, Sanders is choosing to respond like a pro. He's choosing accountability. He's choosing to learn. He's choosing to get better. This loss doesn't define him, but how he bounces back from it absolutely will. And that starts in the film room. That starts with studying what went wrong. That starts with understanding that in the NFL, you don't get to feel sorry for yourself. You get to work. You get to prepare. You get to come back stronger. The Bears sent a message on Sunday. They showed the entire league that Shedeur Sanders is still a work in progress, but Sanders is sending a message back that he's not going to quit, he's not going to make excuses, and he's not going to let one game, no matter how brutal, break his spirit. That's the story we're watching unfold right now. Not the 31-3 loss, not the 3 interceptions, not the Arctic conditions, but a rookie quarterback who got knocked down in the most humiliating way possible and is choosing to get back up.